Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. My name's Chris, and this is a live stream where we're going to be talking about my recommended holiday gifts for 2017. So I hope you guys can all join me, and what we're going to do here is basically go through a list of gifts that I personally think are wonderful ideas for any tech enthusiast in your family or friends that you know or co-workers, and we're going to do that at various different price levels, you know, under 20 bucks, 20 to 50, etc. And I'll have links for all of this stuff down in the description below. So what I'm going to do here is bust through all of these gifts and all of my recommendations, and then we will switch gears and answer some questions and have a little bit of fun after that. So I'm going to be live streaming for about an hour, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the first items here. Before we do that, actually, though, let me give you my criteria for gifts, or gift ideas that I came up with here. So number one, I tried to find gifts that anyone can use, but gifts that are, sort of more with like a tech bent, right? I want people that are more technical, because technical people aren't always the easiest people to find gifts for. I also tried to find gifts that people normally wouldn't purchase themselves, right? So stuff that maybe it would be nice to have, but you've never actually thought about buying it for yourself. That's a perfect gift to get, and this is the type of stuff that I personally like to get. Everything that I have here and all the links down below are Amazon Prime, meaning that if you have Amazon Prime, you get 2-day free shipping, plenty of time to get stuff in before the holidays. And finally, I tried to find stuff that either I personally own and use, and so can absolutely recommend, or stuff that I would buy myself. So in the case of something that I don't own, I've looked through Amazon and like this is the one that I would buy. Okay. So, welcome everyone that's just joining the live stream. Looks like we've got about 86 people already. Thank you everyone for joining from all over the place, it looks like. Let's go ahead and get started with the Crosstalk Solutions 2017 Holiday Gift Guide. And we're going to start with gifts that are under $20. Okay, so let me switch over to this view here. No, let's see. This view here, this view here, this view here. There we go. Okay. Always still figuring out OBS. Okay, so my first gift here, this is a great one, and this is one that I actually have. I love this thing. So this is the eTech City Laser Grip 774 infrared thermometer. This thing, I mean, I measure everything with this infrared thermometer, especially like network equipment. We can see my USG here is running at about 104 degrees. My switch is running at about 90 degrees. My other switch looks like at about 89 degrees. If I do my forehead, I'm at 94 degrees. I mean, I love this thing. And for $11.19, like, you can't beat it. And once you have one of these, like I said, this is one of those gifts that you don't really think about, buying for yourself. But once you have one, like, you literally want to just measure the temperature of everything. Irfan's asking, what does your sweater say? My sweater says Ethereum. So there we go. So happy holidays to all you guys who have joined so far. All right, so that is gift number one, the eTech City Laser Grip 774 non-contact digital laser infrared thermometer. I love this thing. It's good for cooking too, if anyone is a cooking enthusiast in your family or friends. All right, let's move on to gift number two. So that's $11.19. That's the cheapest item on the list here. Another one. I mean, this is a gift that like you don't really think about, but like it's so useful to have a good headlamp. Right, and so a good headlamp is going to cost you less than 20 bucks. I've got this one here. This is an Energizer. They don't make this one anymore, but like I love this one. I use this thing all the time. You've got like one infrared light setting, and then you've got 3 different regular light settings. And so I use this when I'm building computers. I use this when I'm going out to take the trash cans out to the street, especially in the wintertime when, it's dark at, 4:30 p.m. up here in Oregon. So I love a good headlamp, and I mean, I have 2 of them actually, and I would like have a 3rd one. Like, I just love them. So perfect stocking stuffer type of gift. We got the Energizer. The one that I picked here was the $20 one. They've got a whole bunch of different models. Highfly reads, hi. I better say hi before you keep spamming the chat there. So this is the Energizer Vision HD Plus. This is basically the new version of the one that I have, and I absolutely love this thing. Super bright, too. Okay, so there's gift number 2. Let's move on. Going up a little bit. Okay. P-Touch labeler. All right, this is like, so this is the one that I've had forever. I absolutely love this P-Touch labeler. I used it for literally years, and I probably went through, God, I don't know. I mean, like, easily 20 spools of labelers, of labels with this thing. iFly reads, if you don't stop spamming the chat, you're going to be locked out, buddy. So this is your one warning. Okay, so yeah, the P-Touch labeler. This is the $20 version. Again, this is the one that I used for years. I now actually have a much better labeler. I have this, I forget what it's called. It's some beast of a labeler. But again, this thing still works very well. The tape for it is not too expensive, and it comes in, you know, clear and white and a bunch of other different colors. And yeah, I label everything because I'm a little OCD about it. But yeah, there you go. Really, really great gift for someone, especially someone in tech, because you know, labeling stuff. I mean, I've got labels all over the place. You can't really see, but I label cables, I label ports on switches, I label absolutely everything. So really, really good gift to get. And I think it comes with some tape to begin with. I think it comes with one tape roll. Let's see, does it? No, it doesn't really say. Anyway, so there we go. The Brother P-Touch Personal Handheld Labeler. This is the PT70BM. It's the one that I have, the one that I absolutely love. All right, so this next gift, this is getting up. This is past the $20 range. So this is in the $20 to $50 range. This is not something that I own, but honestly, I would love to have one of these. And if I were going to buy one, this is the one that I would buy for this price range. It's just a really good screwdriver kit, especially for, like, you know, small head screws for, like, working on computers and stuff, or working on cell phones, mobile devices, laptops, things like that. This is just a really good all-around kit, and it looks like, you know, I went through this kit, and it looks like it has most everything. You've got those little tiny screwdrivers, you've got the Torx head screwdrivers in all sorts of different sizes, and there was one other thing that I liked about this. Oh, it has this magnetizer. So you can take your bits, you don't have to magnetize them, but if you want to magnetize your bits, you can just stick them in this magnetizer, and then you've got magnetized bits, which is great for, like, you know, inevitably when you drop screws down into the, you know, motherboard of a computer or something, you can just go right in there and pick them up with the magnet. So there we go. That is a really nice kit, only $22.35, and yeah, the JetFix IT Precision Magnetic Screwdriver Repair Kit. Okay, so now we're going up in price a little bit more. Here we go. And someone says iFixit kits are better. iFixit kits are good, however, they are more expensive than this. So I was looking for something that wasn't quite so pricey. All right, so let's pop into the next thing. Tech gift that I think anyone would love. I have, this is the Roku stick, streaming stick. Okay, so this is the Roku Streaming Stick HD. It's $36.99 for this thing. You really can't beat that. I mean, so this thing has Amazon, Vudu, Netflix, Hulu, Google Play, etc. right on the stick. The stick just plugs right into the HDMI port of your television, and then you're good to go. Like, I want one of these Roku sticks for, like, when I travel. Like, I'd love to have this in my travel bag so that if I go to a hotel, I can just pop this into the back of the TV using HDMI, and then I can get Netflix and all that stuff right on the hotel's TV. Right now, I use a Google Chromecast, but the Google Chromecast, you have to stream to from a different device, right? And so there's a limitation there. You always have to you have to be working it from your phone and streaming over to it versus this thing where you just plug it in and you've got all of those things on there already. This is a, oh, you know what? This is a refurbished one. I'll put a link for a different one that's not refurbished, but the non-refurbished one I think is only like $39.99, so it's not even much higher than this. So yeah, so this is the one that I would recommend. And I have two Rokus myself. I have an older, I think it's a Roku 3, which I like a lot, and then I have the latest, like, Roku Ultra. And the thing that I like about the Roku Ultra is, number one, the remote control. You don't have to point the remote control at the television for it to work. I'm not sure if it's the same with this one or not, but I would imagine not, since the HDMI plugs in behind the TV. I'm gonna have to buy one of these and play around with it. But it also has a headset jack on the side where you can plug in headphones into the remote, and then you can turn the volume up and down in your headphones, remotely. So it basically works like a simple wireless remote, but with wired headset. Works off of the remote control. Really nice. The only thing I don't like about the Roku Ultra is that the volume button on the side of the remote doesn't control the volume of the television, which, man, if it had that, it would be the absolute perfect device. Like the Apple TV, the newest Apple TVs, when you turn the volume up and down, it works through the HDMI and actually controls the volume of the television. That's really, really nice feature. I thought that the Roku Ultra would do that since it has the volume toggle on the side, but it doesn't. The volume toggle is just for turning up the volume on the headphones when you've got a headphone plugged in. Okay, if you want to step up too, they have, I think for $69.99, there's also the Roku Streaming Stick 4K. So this is the HD version. This is not the 4K version. This is the HD version. They also have a 4K version that's, I think, $69.99, right in that range. Both of them are going to be awesome products. I'm super happy with the two Rokus that I have in my house. Okay, moving on. Next on the list, we have, of course, a Canna kit from Raspberry Pi. These things, I mean, what can't you do with this thing? I love the Canna kit. In fact, I've got an extra one right here. I usually just have an extra one in case I need to use it. I haven't even opened this one yet, but what you get is a simple case for the Raspberry Pi. This is some sort of, this is like an LED something or other for the case. Then it's got a power adapter, and it's got a couple of heat sinks, and then we have the Raspberry Pi 3 itself. So for 50 bucks, this is a wonderful kit, especially for any tech enthusiasts in the family that are trying to get into Raspberry Pi, or if they want to just have a nice little platform to learn Linux on, or learn FreePBX on. You can put, you know, the RasPBX project can easily install into this. You can turn it into a retro gaming console. You'd have to buy the, you know, the controllers and stuff to do that, but you can do so much with the Raspberry Pi, and it's 50 bucks for this kit. It's amazing. They also have the next kit up, which is, you know, still a really good value, is this one here, and this kit is $69.99, and what it adds is the actual SD card. So it adds a Class 10 32 gig SD card, an SD card reader, and then an HDMI cable. So that's what you get for the extra 20 bucks. Is it worth the extra 20 bucks for those three things? Probably it's a wash. I mean, you could buy them separately and get, you know, all the same stuff. If you bought an SD card, an SD card reader, and an HDMI cable, it would probably be close to 20 bucks anyways, and then you spend a lot of time trying to figure out which ones to buy, so you might as well just buy this kit anyways. I've bought both of these. I've bought this $49 kit, that's the one that I have here, and I've also bought the $69 kit as well. Both of them are great, same Raspberry Pi inside, but yeah, all good. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. The next thing on the list, is a Dashcam. All right, the reason I put Dashcam on the list is because I personally want a Dashcam. I don't have one, and I really, really want one, and so I looked through the Dashcams that are out here, and I found two versions. So this one is only $36.99, but it's got 4.5 stars out of 725 customer reviews, so that's really, really good. It has a tiny little display on the back of it, but it also connects in through your smartphone so that you can view the picture remotely, and I think you can download the picture remotely as well. It's also a really nice small form factor. Some of the dash cams out there are just like, they seem a little obtrusive, and I would want one that like I never notice, you know. That's kind of the point of the thing. And even this picture looks like it's a little bit bigger than I would prefer, but it's also it's also only 37 bucks. So what do you expect? So yeah, so this is option one. This is the Pruvio F5 dash cam with Wi-Fi. And then if you want to take it up a step, the next one that I would purchase, this is probably the one that I would buy for myself if I was going to buy one. Rexing V1 car dash cam. Again, look at 4.5 stars out of 5,475 customer reviews. It's just under 100 bucks for this one. It's full HD 1080p, and yeah, this thing looks awesome. Like this is, and look at the nice small form factor. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's what I would want. I want something that just sort of tucks behind the rear view mirror, and you're good to go. But it still has a display screen, which is nice. So that is the sort of second option as far as dash cams go. And honestly, like, who couldn't use a dash cam? Like, I'd love to get one for my wife. I'd love to get one for my own car. And then you've just kind of got it up and running. And basically what happens is you wire it into the car. When you turn the car on, it starts working. 2.4-inch LCD screen, wide-angle lens, high definition, loop recording, meaning that it just deletes the oldest, recordings. Collision sensing, that's interesting. So like if it detects that it's been jarred, it starts recording, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. So anyways, Dashcam. I want one of these myself. I'll probably put one of these on my Amazon wish list because yeah, this thing's awesome. Okay, let's move on. So the next item on the list isn't from Amazon, and it's not a product. This is a service, and the service is private internet access. Okay, and private internet access is running a really, really good deal right now, and that's why I put this on the list. Because number one, we all know that net neutrality just went bye-bye yesterday, right? So who knows what ISPs are going to get up to in the next couple years, right? I mean, they're going to be pulling all sorts of crap, including injecting packets into your data streams. Comcast was already caught doing that, by the way. And who knows? Metering your traffic, throttling different types of traffic. And so utilizing a VPN it's not the best solution in the world, because some things like Netflix, they don't work with a VPN. You have to, unthrottle you have to just go straight through to get to Netflix and stuff like that. But a lot of other services out there, and most websites that you surf, work just fine with a VPN. I personally use private internet access. I've used them for years, and I've got it on my phone, I've got it on my computer, and anytime I want to pop it on, it's just as simple as hitting a button and going. Now, also, I really, really like private internet access's stance on everything that's going on, sort of politically in the world. And I don't want to turn this into a political discussion, but private internet access has really been at the forefront of helping to bring awareness to these issues, like the ISP privacy stuff that went away earlier this year, the net neutrality stuff that went away yesterday. Private internet access has been on the front lines fighting that fight and trying to educate its customers, as well as the population in general, about what's going on. And of course, I really want to support private internet access because of that effort. And not to mention, it's a really good product, and not to mention, it's a really good price. And right now, again, look at this, $69.95 for a 2-year subscription to private internet access. That's really, really good. That works on all of your devices, computers, cell phones, etc. Or they have a 1-year subscription for $40. So, and someone was saying that private internet access sometimes has slow servers and you need to try multiple ones. That's true. I don't experience that very often, but there have been times, especially if I'm connecting from where I am over to like a European server or a server in Asia, there have been times where it runs a little slow. But most often when I connect to private internet access, I'm in Oregon, I connect to their server in Seattle, and I never have slowness. I never have a problem. In fact, I've run speed tests where I actually am faster connecting through private internet access than I am, connecting straight through Charter. So, yeah. Anyways, private internet access, absolutely my #1 favorite VPN proxy service, and really low cost, really good company. Okay, so one more product on the list, and this last product is for if you're in the 1% and you're an elite and you're fighting to repeal net neutrality and you have more money than you know what to do with, this is our last product, and this is for you. Okay, so the last product I put on the list is the DJI Phantom 4 quadricopter drone. Okay, so this is the drone that I have. I frickin' love this thing, and I picked out a package here. It's just over $1,000 for the DJI Phantom 4, but it comes with a spare battery. That's very key to having a drone, is having a spare battery. It also comes with this hard shell backpack, but you may or may not want to use that. The important thing is the extra battery. So I've got mine right here. I absolutely love this thing. I don't use it all the time. This is one of those gifts where, see, this was bought for me as a gift. So I would have never bought this for myself, those are the type of gifts that I love to get. But look at this thing. Like, this drone is amazing. It just works where you've got the remote and you put your your phone or your tablet into this little holder here. I think it'll accommodate up to like an 8-inch tablet or something. It's like a crazy big space. This might even go bigger than that. Like, look at how wide that is. So you can get a tablet that's about yay big in there. Of course, landscape mode. And so yeah, get a tablet in there, you plug it in, USB into the tablet, into here, you run the application, and you can fly the drone all around. I have flown mine even out like over the ocean, which is very nerve-wracking. You fly it out over the ocean. I flew it probably 100 yards out over the ocean, turned it around, and then came back in, and I got like, I got like a beautiful sweeping shots of the Oregon coastline, as I'm coming in, raise up the camera as you fly towards the coastline, and man, I just love this thing. I gotta use it in more of my videos, honestly. Right now, I've got an issue with it that I gotta get something RMA'd, but I will be doing more of the drone in future videos. So, yeah, there you guys have it. That is it for the Crosstalk Solutions Holiday Gift Guide 2017. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you want to stick around the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking to the folks that are in chat, and we're just going to be maybe talking about these ideas as well as some other ideas that you might have. I'm going to give it to about another 40 minutes. I'm going to end the live stream right around 1 p.m. So thank you guys for watching so far. We got 137 people watching live, and of course a lot of people in the comments here. So let's go back through the comments. So what did you break on the drone? I didn't break anything. Unfortunately, I updated the firmware on the drone and the camera stopped working. So you don't have the camera, you can't fly it. So I haven't really looked out. Yes, by the way, Irfan, the drone has a follow me mode, which is awesome. I haven't tested it out yet, but like, if I had a dirt bike or something, I put it on follow me, you ride the dirt bike around, and it just stays with you. Anyways, so yeah, the camera went out after a firmware update, and I haven't sat down to research if it's something that I actually need to send in, like something got broken on the drone, or if there's like a fix for that because it was a firmware update that broke the camera. Okay, so Crosstalk Solutions, please explain for all folks here that Class 4 SD card is best for Raspberry Pi. I will not do that because I don't believe that's the case. Honestly, I think Class 10 cards are best, and I did speed tests on the cards, like disk write speed tests on cards in various classes a while back, and 10 was the best. So unless you have some sort of proof that a Class 4 card works best for Raspberry Pi, you got to provide that proof. As far as I'm concerned, Class 10 is the way to go. And you also got to think about the fact that Class 10 is the type of card that they actually include with the Raspberry Pi. So why would they include not the best type of card for Raspberry Pi? Think about that. Okay, so Alexander G, instead of using a privacy VPN, you should build a community and build a city WLAN with internet access. So build your own WISP is what he's saying. I have seriously considered that in the past. Certainly I have the know-how to build my own WISP. I have a lot of the equipment that I would need to build my own WISP, including, right out here, we've got this full, where is it? There we go. This full Cambium Networks ePMP. Like, this is a major WISP antenna right here that I'm just using for, testing, essentially. So yeah, I could do it. The problem is, the problem with a WISP, or starting a WISP, is mostly the time and effort it takes to onboard clients. Okay, so think about that. You're going to have a client. What are you charging them per month for internet access? Probably like 60 bucks, maybe $100 for wireless internet access through your WISP. Well, that client, that $100 a month that you're getting from that client, you've got to have a guy to roll a truck out there to help them, who knows networking, to help them set up the antenna and get it set up inside their home. If something breaks, let's say you've got 100 clients, if something breaks, you're going to have people that can go out, just like Comcast or Charter or anyone. If there's an internet problem, they roll a truck out to someone's location and they fix it, right? That's the problem with a wireless ISP, is having the manpower to service the amount of clientele that it would take to be profitable. Okay, and it's tough to get started, right? So if you're going to do a small project where you're just supplying it to a small group of people in a community, that's one thing, and maybe you can make all that work, but it's still gonna be expensive, and it's gonna take a lot of time and effort. My mother-in-law lives in a small retirement village out here in Oregon, and they can only get very expensive DSL, where you have to have the DSL connection and a POTS line, which ends up being very expensive, or they get satellite internet. And so she opted for satellite internet because she has DirecTV, but the internet is terrible at her house. I hate being over there. I can't stand it. So I've thought many times about, hey, maybe I can pop an antenna up on a hill somewhere above their complex and supply, service to that small community. But, just the logistics of it are crazy. So someone said, can we see a sweater? Yes. So here's my Ethereum sweater. Funny story about this Ethereum sweater. This sweater was about 60 bucks. I bought it with Litecoin, when Litecoin was about 60 bucks. And now Litecoin is about $300. So I bought this just a few weeks ago. Litecoin went up so much. So this is my $300 Christmas sweater. Yes, thank you very much. You can't, listen. You start playing around with Bitcoin stuff, prices go up, prices go down. You can't really think too much about it. All right, let's see. Hans Ruprecht. I hope I said that right. Hans Ruprecht. Christmas came early as I updated to Ubiquiti USG Pro 4, Cloud Key, UAP AC HD, and Unify 16 switch PoE 150 watt from my older dated router, running the latest 5.26 controller. So far, very happy. Awesome, man. Yeah, that's a really nice setup. That's almost what I have here, except I have a regular USG. I don't use the Cloud Key. I use my own Amazon server. I'm not running an ACHD. I'm running a Pro, but I'm actually probably going to switch to the HD just to test it out. And I have a few Unify switches. I have actually one Edge Switch 24, and then I've got a Unify Switch 8 150 watt and a Unify Switch 8 60 watt. So that's what I'm running in my house here. Okay, so let's see. I wish I could serve my client as bad, and Comcast can get half of what they charge. I know, Mike. Isn't that right? Well, listen. Since they pulled net neutrality away yesterday, I'm sure their service is just going to get a lot better and cheaper moving forward. They promised that it wouldn't affect anything. If anyone believes that. Sorry. People in the who are outside of the U.S. Might not know about that, but the rules that regulated the internet as a public utility were repealed by the current administration in the United States yesterday, meaning that Comcast and Verizon and Time Warner and AT&T are very happy today because they can start to charge what they want. They can continue to increase their monopolies. And again, I don't want to turn this into a political discussion, but yeah, it was not good news for the U.S. Yesterday. Okay. Totally agree with the WLAN. You need to get a community and then use a mesh firmware. All people can share the internet. Yeah, I don't know about mesh, a mesh setup for the community though. If I were going to do it, I would do a point to multipoint where you've got a good solid, antenna or access point that's covering that area, and then have subscriber antennas on every house that run into like something like the UAP. Like the air cubes are a good example. I don't know if you guys have seen these. Hang on one second. I'm going to grab my air cubes. I haven't done a video on these yet. So this is Ubiquiti's new sort of air cube. These are their subscriber modems, basically. So if you're running a WISP, the idea is that you would have one of these air cubes as the client's modem / router, right? This has Wi-Fi built in. It's a router, and it also provides PoE out to power the subscriber antenna, right? So basically, meaning that it's it pushes power out to the antenna that it's receiving the internet connection, like on the outside of the house. So really, really good idea. They've got the AirCube ISP. So this is the 2.4 gigahertz version. I think it's just 2.4 gigahertz. 802.11n. And then we've got the AirCube AC. A little bit bigger, but this is going to be the dual band 802.11 AC. Internally. So these are really cool devices, and they're cheap. This one was, I think, like 49 bucks, and this one's like 69 bucks or something like that. So air cubes. I'll be doing a video on those soon. I just don't know when I'll get there. Okay, so let's see. Oh boy, Fidz. I don't know how to pronounce your name, man. Van Brabant. Do you have a problem with the Unify Video G3 with rain and infrared? No, I actually don't. I do have a problem in that when it's raining, it gives a lot of false positives with movement, right? So basically, it counts rain as like motion, and so it records a lot while it's raining. Other than that, no, it's fine. All right, Silas, love these chats. Thank you very much. Hope you like doing them too. I do. I love doing live streams. And I like how there isn't tons of people, so we can actually talk to you. Way more personal. Keep up the good work. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. A JIT Pie video. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that too much. Yes, hope to get my Air Cube in my hands to test it. Wonderful. Yes, I haven't tested them yet. They've been sitting here in a box for like 2 months, and I haven't done anything with them. Justin Thorpe, I wanted to say thanks as your videos were tremendously helpful when I deployed a new UniFi setup on our family farm. Outdoor Wi-Fi site-to-site VPNs with USGs and UniFi video. You are awesome. Well, thanks, man. I'm glad you had a successful deployment. If done right, UniFi equipment and especially like the point-to-point stuff is really, really cool. Irfan, here in Pakistan, we never had net neutrality, but the competition is so fierce that the ISPs dare not mess around. So out here in the U.S., they had to start regulating it a couple years ago when the ISPs started getting up to some shifty business. That's why it was regulated in the first place. And it was only 2 years ago that that broadband got sufficient enough to where they had to start putting those rules in place. Of course, now those rules are gone. But yeah, anyways, we'll see what happens. I don't want to get into it. Why UniFi doesn't just make a router with the software inside? Well, they do. They make the Edge router. They make the Edge Max line of routers. Okay, so let's see. USG Pro or PFSense VM? It depends on what you need to do. So that's a good question. If you have more enterprise level needs, I would go with PFSense. But if your needs are very vanilla, then yeah, you just go with the USG Pro, or even just a USG. Depends on what your internet connection is. TN Bighorn, I should get my drive duplicator tomorrow. Can't wait to check it out. Thanks. Awesome. I'm glad you were able to get something out of that. Where did I put it? I don't know. I had it around here somewhere, and I put it away. But yeah, the drive cloning thing worked really well. I mean, this is the system that I cloned. I'm actually on it and working right now. It's been perfect. No problems. Andrew Knows Tech, $2 Super Chat. Thank you very much. Super Chats are enabled, by the way, folks. If you want to ask a question that I'm guaranteed to not miss and actually answer, throw me a Super Chat, and I promise I will get to it. So I think, Andrew, you did a $1 one up higher, too, so I missed that one, but I will pick this one up. Can you set up client tracking on UAP? So the client tracking is not a feature that is available yet. So the client tracking, I believe, is only if you have the UAP AC SHD antennas. The SHD antennas, like the super high-end ones. I shouldn't even say that because they now have one that's even higher end coming out. I think it's like the UAP XG or something. It's in the beta store. But those are the antennas that you need to do the client tracking, and you have to use the map functionality. I haven't even really figured out how it's all going to work, but that functionality has only been discussed. As far as I know, it has not actually been released yet. Okay. Mike meant a router with the cloud key built in. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good call. I suppose, that's a good idea, I guess. I don't know why they haven't done that. It would make sense that they should do that. They are coming out with the UniFi application server, which, if you guys have beta access to the beta store, the Ubiquity beta store, the UniFi Cloud server is in there for $1,500. It's $1,500. It comes with dual 2 terabyte RAID 1 hard drives for like the UniFi video stuff. It comes with UniFi installed. I think it has an NVMe drive. But I priced it out. I took a look at the specifications, like the CPU, the RAM, the hard drives, and everything, and I priced out what it would cost to build your own UniFi application server, and it was almost exactly the same price. It was about $1,500 because of the Xeon chip that they have and the 1U form factor and all that. So if you guys have beta store access and you're looking to implement a really good UniFi server, you might want to consider the UniFi application server that's in the beta store now, because when it comes out of beta, the price is going to shoot up, probably to like $2,000, I would imagine. So it's a really good deal now at $1,500 because of the hardware inside. But if the price goes up any higher than that, you can build your own for about $1,500. Okay, so let's see. Chris, love your videos. Why do you prefer point to multi-point instead of mesh? Because it's a more solid connection, right? So mesh is basically smart repeaters, whereas point to point is like having a wireless wire, if that makes any sense. I personally just prefer not using repeaters at all if possible, although we've done a bunch of mesh deployments very successfully. Draggy, beer today? No beers today, at least not during the live stream. I'll probably have one later. I'm trying to cut down on the beers, actually. I was having 2 or 3 a night, and now I'm trying to have, like, you know, I'm trying to do just 1 or 2 nights where I have 2 or 3 beers because, you know, I'm getting older, and you got to worry about your blood pressure and all that bullshit. So we're trying to be healthier right now. All right, let's see. Nothing beats hard wiring. Well, that's true. Nothing does beat hard wiring. I was just telling someone that the other day, that if you can run a wire, run a wire. Also, by the way, for you guys who are interested, I do have, I'm going to be working on a series of videos on Bitcoin mining and the ant miner that I bought. So stay tuned for those. Those will be coming up at some point. All right, so let's see. We're running out of questions here. Let me scroll back up and see if I missed anything. Belgian beer rocks. Belgian beer does rock. I don't. If you can recommend a good one, I'll try to pick it up. German beers rock too. Hi from Germany. Do you have any experience with the Edge Router ER4? Looking for a router that can handle multiple 1 gig WAN connections. Thanks for the feedback. I have not used the ER4. But I have set up multiple gigabit WAN connections in the Edge Router Infinity. And I highly recommend that router. That thing's awesome. Get the Edge Router Infinity. It's got 8 SFP Plus ports on it. And it has like a 70 gigabit backplane or something. It's ridiculous. Okay, UNMS, have you heard anything from UBNT about updating router code to pick up DHCP so they can be auto-provisioned? I have not. So I'm not in contact with Ubiquiti. I actually haven't even played with UNMS myself yet. I saw that Willie just did a video on UNMS, I think it was earlier this week or last week. Yeah, anyways. How about Litecoin mining? So Litecoin mining, it's all sort of the same thing. Bitcoin, I say Bitcoin mining. People say Bitcoin these days. They're basically talking about cryptocurrency. It's like synonymous. You know, it's like saying... I don't know, a Ziploc bag, right? You know, there's only one Ziploc brand, or Kleenex. Kleenex is a really good example. You know, you call everything a Kleenex, even though Kleenex is just one brand. You don't call the Walmart generic brand. You still call that Kleenex, but it's not actually Kleenex. So yeah, when I say Bitcoin, I mean just cryptocurrency mining in general. Have you messed around with the US 16XG? Not the Unify version. I've worked with the Edge router version, and that or not Edge router, the Edge Switch XG, and those things were great. I like those a lot. I did it's like called the Unify Enterprise setup or something like that. It was a video that I did a while back, and that's still in production today. It's working great. One of the Unify 48 port switches went bad. That's the only thing that's gone wrong with that deployment. What model of Antminer did you get? I got the Antminer D3. Tor versus private internet. I don't use Tor. I only use private internet access, so I don't have any experience with Tor. I can't speak to that, unfortunately. Update on the solar setup. Well, there's not much solar out here right now, so we don't get light until 9 a.m. or so. 8:39 is when the sun rises right now. And we're not even to winter yet. I think winter solstice is still like a week away. And then it gets dark starting around 4:30. So there's just very little sun right now. So I put the solar project on hold until after winter time, basically. I'll pick it back up in the spring. Okay, how can be a long Ethernet cable that is powering Unify AC Pro? How long can an Ethernet cable be? I think is what you're asking. The maximum length of an Ethernet cable, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is 155 meters. So as long as you're under 155 meters, you should be fine. Nicholas Lacorvara. So for a point to multi-point wisp, what ubiquity product would you recommend to serve 5 or 6 buildings with air cubes? Rocket AC. So the Rocket AC Prism is probably my go-to at this point, but keep in mind that there's a lot of environmental factors that depend on which antenna you're going to get. So for instance, what's the line of sight like? What is the neighboring interference like? Oh, I hit my mic, sorry. What's the neighboring, how much interference is there in the area? So you want to do a wireless survey and also a site survey to kind of figure out what the best equipment would be. But if you're just asking me, like, what would I deploy, assuming that conditions are perfect, I would go with the Rocket AC Prism with either a sector or omni antenna. A book example, Wi-Fi for a big stadium, you would choose mesh network or APs with cabling for each. So for a big stadium, I would choose likely mesh. So I think of it more like this, like a campground. Okay, a campground is a good candidate for mesh network because there's probably going to be light poles and stuff where you can get electricity, but very likely they don't have the ability to trench fiber or Ethernet through the campground, right? So a campground is a really good candidate for, or like an RV park is a really good candidate for a mesh network. Whereas with a football stadium or something like that, it's very possible that they will have areas throughout the stadium that are wired with Ethernet, right? So maybe you don't need to go mesh. Bottom line is, if you can get a wire to a place without too much expense, hardwire an access point. Otherwise, you can go with mesh. How loud volume-wise is the 24-port switch? Do you notice it as it's just sitting on a desk? So mine is that's a really great question. Mine is the Edge Switch 24 Lite. Okay, so mine doesn't have the PoE capability, and so it's not very loud, but I'll tell you how loud it is. I should have put this tool on my list. Okay, so this right here is the Bafex Products Digital Sound Level Meter. Let's go ahead and see how loud it is. So right next to the fan here, while I'm being quiet, it's measuring 48 dB. Okay? So you guys can look up 48 dB and tell me about how loud that is. I know, so by comparison, my Antminer D3, I measured at 83 dB. And 83 dB it's about how loud a blender is when it's turned on, or like a vacuum. It's like in that range. What has been your biggest Unify video install? I have 33 currently installed and running to a PowerEdge R610 for the controller. That's a nice server for that controller. With either a Bond and FreeNAS MVR, Laplink, blah, 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 blah. My biggest camera install. I want to say it was in the neighborhood of 50 cameras. But I can't remember if it was actually 50 cameras or if I just spec'd the server for 50 cameras. But anyways, it was in that neighborhood, and it was similar. It was like a 1U or I think it was a 2U Supermicro server that I did with that. Okay. Is it possible to set up load balance to 30% on WAN 1 and 70% on WAN 2 in the USG? No, it is not. So that's possible in the EdgeMax routers, but it is not yet possible to do that in the USG. If you want dual WAN load balancing in the USG, it has to be 50-50. Can Edge Router X be both a switch and implement rate limiting and pulsing to control bandwidth? Yeah, I believe it can, because it runs full EdgeMax. Okay, Logan. Hi, Chris. Huge thanks for all your videos. It's helped me multiple times during setup and recovery. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's see. Ubiquity, IPv6 development, beta software has So I'm trying to skip past the ones where you guys are talking to each other and just go to the questions here. All right, here we go. Crosstalk Solutions. What would you suggest from MC Jazzman? What would you suggest works the best to connect 3 WAN modems, all based on RJ45 parts, to an Edge Router Infinity that provides mainly SFP plus ports? So it has SFP plus ports, but you guys can get, they make SFP plus RJ45 modules. So let me see if I can pull this up. I think Ubiquiti just came out with some, as a matter of fact. Let's see if I can find them in their beta store. I'll bring up the screen in just a second here. Oops. I just want to log in. Okay, early access. All right, let's switch back to this view. All right, here we go. So right here, look at this. UF45. So this is a, okay, so this is just SFP, but here's an RJ45 SFP. They also, I imagine, make an SFP Plus that's the same. And if Ubiquiti doesn't, other companies will. I like a company called, shoot, I'm not going to remember the name of the, there's one that I was buying before Ubiquiti came out with their own SFPs, and I can't remember the name of it now. But let's see. Let's look under fiber. Maybe they have, no, that's that stuff. Let's see, accessories. So here's, it looks like, these look like LC connectors. Oh no, here's the LC connectors. These are the GP connectors. So it looks like they're getting there. It doesn't seem like they have them yet. But yeah, so this is what you would want, though. Basically an RJ45, but instead of SFP, SFP Plus. Okay. By the way, replace the fans in the USG Pro 4 with Noctua, as the fans are much quieter. Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I know. I did that with my the first free PBX system that I had in here. It had some like really cheap, loud fans, and so I got some really nice, quiet ones and swapped them out. And I love doing that. That works great. I don't like mesh speed. It's terrible after 2 or 3 hops. Well, you shouldn't really go past 3 hops with mesh. I try to stick under 2 hops with mesh if possible. Speed drops down more than 50%, better point-to-point, and then access point. So I mostly agree with you there. Hi Chris, what are you using for a camera, video recorder, and what video editing software do you use? So it's an interesting question. I actually am planning, if I can, I want to do a whole like setup video. So as far as the microphone, you guys have seen this guy before. This is my Zoom H2. I also have a Blue Yeti that I've been using a little bit more often lately. But my main microphone is this Zoom H2. I've had this thing for probably, I want to say 12 years or so. It's been around forever. So that's my main microphone. This camera is a webcam. This is the Logitech C920 webcam. My main DSLR that I use for most of my videos is a Canon 70D. And if I were to do it again, I would not buy that same camera. Reason being is the Canon 70D does not have the ability to output clean HDMI, so meaning that I can't live stream with my Canon 70D, which seems ridiculous for a frickin' $1,000 DSLR. But so I'm going to probably buy a different camera in the near future here as soon as I have another $1,000 lying around. But I'm looking at the 10G Tech. That's the name of the SFPs. Thank you, Zach. But I'm looking at the Panasonic Lumix series of cameras. Those are probably what I would buy next because those seem to be more geared towards the type of stuff that I do. Okay, so is that RJ45 compatible with normal Ethernet? Yes, it is. Oh, let me finish the previous question. Sorry about the cough. For desktop recording, I use a program called Faststone, F-A-S-T-S-T-O-N-E, Faststone Desktop Capture. It's about $20 for that license. And then for live streaming like this, I use OBS, Open Broadcaster. And then for editing, I use Adobe Premiere. I have the like $49 a month Adobe CC whatever kits. It gets me Premiere and Photoshop and Media Encoder and all the stuff that you would ever want. Motion. I don't do a lot of work with Motion, but you know, it's nice to have. Okay, is that an old school phone at the back? Yes. This is as old school a phone as you get. I am currently doing some videos for Sangoma on their Sangoma Vega products. I'll be doing videos on the main Crosstalk channel about Sangoma Vega products as well. but I'm using this for testing. This is connected to the FXS port of one of those Vegas back in the next room. Okay, in the latest update from Ubiquiti, they introduced blocking traffic to some websites like using DPI. However, I can never get it to work. Can you do a video explaining how to do that? Yeah, I haven't really even looked into that myself yet, but I certainly will when I get around to it. Do we need a USG for Unify access points if Edge Router costs less than half the price? You do not need a USG for Unify access points. I was running for a long time, up until very recently, on an Edge Router Lite, and I was using full Unify access points inside my house, no problem. Where did you buy the RJ45 24-volt plug in your solar project so you powered the NanoStation M5? If you go back to that solar video, all of the parts that were featured in that video are listed in the description. So if you don't find it, hit me up. But yeah. So RJ45 SFP Plus ports 10 gigabit or 1 gigabit. They're 10 gigabit SFP Plus. 1 gigabit is SFP. I use a Canon attached to the Blackmagic Design Ultra Studio mini recorder. So I have my Canon plugged into a Blackmagic. I have a Blackmagic Intensity Pro plugged into my desktop here, and it just doesn't work. I've tried it. I've spent hours and hours and hours trying to get that stupid Canon to work, and anyways, it just doesn't work. All right, $10 super chat. Thank you, Vinicus Santana. Thanks a lot for your free PBX videos. They help me a lot. Also, any thoughts on ZoneMinder or Shinobi as a replacement for Unify NVR, as they support cameras from any vendor? I have not used either of those products. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard of either of those products. The only other product that I've heard of a lot that allows you to do third-party cameras, or a bunch of third-party cameras, including Ubiquiti, is Blue Iris. I also haven't worked with Blue Iris, though, so I've only ever worked with the Unify NVRs and then like those cheap-ass ones that you can get at Costco. But, yeah, anyway, so there's that answer to that question. Sorry I can't be more help there, but no, I don't have any opinion on either of those products. Chris, when should you upgrade from a Pi-hole to something else? As soon as it becomes a problem, I would say. I don't like running anything in production on Raspberry Pi. The only thing that I've kept in production on Raspberry Pi is a Cacti server, because it's not super important, right? It's just monitoring devices. So if it goes down, it's no big deal. But like I found that running like Raspberry Pi PBXs is very susceptible to power problems, and the power problems are usually severe enough that they wipe out your entire PBX. So it's not good to do that in production. Okay, you should have a number to call to ask questions. That's actually a really good point, and on a future live stream, maybe I'll do it next week or the week after, I want to be testing out some queuing in my free PBX, and so I was going to have people call in and then show the queue screen, like the dashboard, live as people call in. So I might do that in a future video, so very good idea. Okay, Lumix is awesome. That's what I have. 4K high speed and clean HDMI output. That's exactly what I want. I want to bump up to a 4K camera, and I want the clean HDMI output. Luckily, the Canon at least has a remote viewing, so I can have software on my second screen where I can remote view what's on the Canon and control it, so I can hit record without having to get up and walk around my desk and hit the record on the thing. So that's not bad, but yeah. Ubiquiti uInstaller. Did you review it? Do you have good experiences? If it's a good thing. I didn't review it per se. I've got it right here though. So this is the, oh, it doesn't have the model number on it or anything. This is one of the models of uInstaller. It's got a nice like rubberized coating on it. And I was using it in my first solar setup, and then ultimately I switched to straight DC instead of using USB to power whatever I was trying to power, and it worked a lot better straight DC. So I haven't reviewed it. I don't personally have a lot of need for the uInstaller in my day-to-day work activities, so yeah. Hey Chris, would you like to help you make some microtik videos? From Zakinthos Wi-Fi. No, well, the thing is, microtik's a whole nother beast, man, you know, and all that stuff takes time. I don't like doing videos on stuff that I don't know a lot about, right? So in order for me to do a microtik video, or a series of microtik videos, I'd have to really dig into microtik. and I just don't have the time to do it. So what I would highly encourage you to do, however, is start making microtik videos out there. I know that the one microtik video that I did probably 2 years ago is still to this day very popular and still gets a lot of comments. So there are a lot of people out there searching for microtik content, and I highly recommend that you go out there if you have the ability and create some of that content yourself, for sure. Chris, I am not a fan of watching full-length how-to videos on YouTube. However, yours are straightforward and informative. Thank you and happy holidays. Thanks, Clayton. I appreciate that. I try not to have too much dead air and fluff in my videos, especially my instructional videos. I go straight to the point. You know, just get something installed. People don't need to hear about your life. They don't need to hear about, you know, that you were sick last week or whatever. Just get to the stupid video. Get to the tutorial. That's how I like to do it. Okay, so let's see. I want those, but they're always sold out. Yeah. You can remote control and view the Lumix with a phone app. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, for the new camera, get a red. If as soon as you say red, the price goes out the window. I've been trying out the Unify AC Pro, and it works. This is from Steve Yu. And it works, but it seems to establish slower connections than other access points. Is it optimized for multiple users versus speed? No, it is not. What I would do if I were you is try to change the position. Move it around to different places and see if you have better luck in different places. All right, we got about 5 minutes, guys, so if you got any final questions, let's pop them in here, the last 5 minutes of this live stream. And if you don't get your question answered, I promise, I'm striving, especially through the rest of the year and into 2018, I'm striving to do more and more live streams. I want to do it at least every other Friday, if not more often than that. So, okay, so let's see here. Peter Koloch says, is there a way to protect against Fingbox packet injections feature to block the devices on the network? So if you go back through the comments of the Fingbox video, there were a lot of really good suggestions, though that being said, there weren't a lot of suggestions that weren't like enterprise level. Like people's suggestions were like, take all of your open switch ports and send them to a VLAN that has no access to anything, right? Which, yes, that's a good solution, but it's not a good solution for, you know, mom and pop small business who don't even know what a VLAN is, right? So there is no good solution that I found for defeating the Fingbox, which, you know, kudos to them for creating that product. Okay, do you have a video on how to set up a Sangoma SBC? I don't. Mostly because I don't run across the need for SBCs very often. Since FreePBX 13, FreePBX has its own built-in firewall. So the only time that I would ever need to use an SBC is in a higher level enterprise deployment where either A, I need to load balance between multiple PBX systems on the back end, or B, I have a lot of clients that are connecting in on, like with cell phones, right? So if they're using like a SIP app, SIP phone app on a cell phone, and they're connecting in, you can't block that down to their WAN IP because the WAN IP addresses of cell phones change all the time. So in that case, you would want that extra layer of protection of an SBC in front of your PBExact or FreePBX server. Protocol question. You've stated that fax over VoIP is a pain in the ass in the VoIP world. It is. Does the VoIP solution you see and install support T38 or G711 only? So T38, always got to go, if you ever want any chance of fax working well, fax over IP working well, you got to go T38. But the problem is not necessarily, the problem isn't necessarily the fax solution that you come up with. Okay, the problem is all of the remote faxes that you're faxing to or faxing from. Okay, when you receive faxes or send faxes. It's not, you can have the most bulletproof fax solution in the world set up on a voice over IP PBX, but it's still not going to be compatible with every, you know, crappy fax machine out there in the world. There's some out there that are just going to have problems. That's it. And so that's why fax over IP just sucks. And I still to this day recommend POTS line plugged into a fax machine is the best solution. If you have a building with 8 access point, is it better to plane radio channels? I mean, I assume you mean, is it better to set the radio channels manually or leave it on auto? manually, 100%, always, always, always. When you have more than one access point, always put the, always set the radio channels manually. Do not, even if you have just one access point, I still set it manually. Just look for, which, where the least interference is in the area and set it to that channel. Okay, awesome live feed. Thank you very much, Irfan. I appreciate that. We are your fans, Chris, so I think you should follow your schedule when you release a video and not rush any videos. Quality is better than quantity. I agree with you, and that's why I have slowed down on the videos lately, is because I just haven't had time to do them the way that I want to do them. I've had videos that I've actually recorded and just never released because I thought they were crap. So, yeah. Have to leave already. Wimroder, thank you. Thanks for the chat, and happy holidays. Happy Ubiquity Networking in 2018. Well, thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, it is just about that time. Again, thank you all for joining me on the live stream. If you guys missed any part of the first part of this live stream where I was talking about the Crosstalk Solutions Holiday Gift Guide 2017, you will be able to see that on YouTube after this live stream is over. In about 15-20 minutes, it'll finish processing and it'll show up in my channel. So I appreciate all of you guys for joining. Happy holidays, no matter where you are in the world. And yeah, thanks again. And I will do at least one, maybe two more live streams before the end of the year. So thanks you guys for joining, and we will talk to you next time.